What is going down? All the sourdough squad out there. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal start to your weekend. You guys already know that preseason week 2 against the Vikings is about to kick off today. We are going to preview it all. We're going to get into it and we're going to discuss joint practices, what we expect for today's preseason game. So let's get right into it. What is going down, sourdough squad? Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Oh, would you look at that? It's not the generic countdown anymore. It's not the generic countdown anymore. You'll love to see it. I got a shout out. Hey, let me know what you guys think of the intro below. Got to shout out my guy, John Haysmere. Appreciate you, man, for putting that together. I think he's even in the chat. Look at the guy. Shout out my guy. Appreciate the intro, my boy. Love to see it. No more generic StreamYard countdown. So we're moving on up. You already love to see it. And make sure you already know the vibes. Drop an SDS into the chat if you are ready to go for some 49ers football today. You love to see it all going down. Obviously, we're going to talk about, I think, an abbreviated preseason game today. Obviously, joint practices are concluded in Minnesota, where I think the 49ers will tell you they got most of the work that they wanted to see in those practices. I had the obviously had the ability to watch those practices go down. So I understand where the 49ers are currently at, some of the things they did well, some of the things that they need to work on, but I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of the I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of the starters today. Don't think we're going to see a whole lot of starters today. And I think that's perfectly fine. As we talked about, joint practices, the 49ers were able to get a lot of good work in. So don't necessarily need that to go down. But first of all, let's say what's good to all the SDS. You love to see it. Shout out all the squad. You already know the vibes. It's game day. I don't care that it's preseason. It doesn't matter. We have football and Niner football at that. So you love to see all of that go down. Look at all the squad out here. Love to see it. Shout out all the homies. Want to make sure we say what's good to the squad. Oh, loving the intro. Let's go. You love to see it. Shout out my guy for putting that together. Literally is a super dope edit. Really dope SDS intro. You really love to see it. Shout out all the SDS checking in. Intro was fire. I'm telling you, man, it was the edit that my guy put together. Absolutely fire. I think my guy also put together his own YouTube page. So while you're at it, make sure you go and sub to my guy. I think he even did his first live today. I'm going to have to go check that out. You guys go check it out after the stream, but make sure you shoot my guy's sub right here. You love to see people who are, have always supported my content and other 49ers podcasters and content get into the game themselves. So you love to see that. You love to see people getting on the mics and talking and discussing the thing they love, and which is why we're all here. We're all here to talk about 49ers football. Smash that like button to bread, gang. You already know the vibes. It's a good time. We got a lot of SDS in here. Let's go. Do I think Trey's gonna play? I do not think Trey's gonna play. In fact, I feel pretty confidently in saying I know he's not going to play today. I just think that, one, Kyle Shanahan has told us he's not going to play. But two, these joint practices literally needs to be how it's done. I really think there needs to be like 3 joint practices, and when you can still have the preseason games, but the preseason games are for the young guys. Like, these veterans do not need preseason games. They really don't. And, you know, the young guys, Trey's a young guy, but ultimately, I really do believe that you could have 2 to 3 joint practices every offseason. That is gonna be where the best work comes from. Again, being able to get my eyes on it in Eagan, Minnesota for 2 days in a row, you can see why they talk about joint practices the way they talk about joint practices. You get to try, multiple things. You get to line up starting offense against their starting defense, and you could try red zone if you want. You could do move the ball period if you want. You can just manage whatever you want to manage against another team's starters. When you get into preseason, we already know how it goes. A lot of teams rest starters in preseason, so the work that you're going to get isn't going to be able to match or emulate what you can get from joint practices. So I'm a huge advocate for these joint practices. If you could add at least 2 joint practices a year, feels like that would be better for the veterans, much more than preseason games where they're not even going to play anyways. So it does sound like we are going to get Nate Sudfeld today, quite a bit. Also, Brock Purdy going to be in the mix. Doesn't sound like we're going to get Trey Lance. So we're going to see how it goes. I would imagine on the flip side as well, the Vikings aren't going to play a lot of their starters for the same reasons we're talking about why the 49ers aren't going to be playing their starters. However, not all starters are created equal. So you have Trent Williams. I would be shocked to see Trent Williams out there on the field today. Absolutely bamboozled and flabbergasted if we see Trent Williams out there today. But I do expect to see Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Colton McKivitz, and probably it's going to be interesting to see who starts, because they have been shifting Colton McKivitz all over the place all throughout training camp. He's played left tackle, he's played right tackle, he's played right guard. I could see a scenario that exists where they put Colton McKivitz at left tackle and they start Jordan Mills at right tackle. Justin School didn't really have he's continuing to struggle. And that continued into joint practices. I think Jordan Mills has shown since the start of training camp that he's functional. He's not going to wow you with big old pancake blocks or speed from a right tackle standpoint, but he is a really solid pass blocker. He stepped into camp day one and proved that in one-on-ones or team periods that Jordan Mills could hold up in pass protection. So I could see a scenario that exists where we're looking at a starting offensive line that is Colton McKivitz, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, and Jordan Mills. But we'll see. I have no idea. But I do imagine that the 49ers are going to trot out their young guys. Not the old guys, but the young guys, because if there's anything that I could take away from watching joint practices in Minnesota is that interior offensive line needs a little bit more work. Aaron Banks, Spencer Burford, Jake Brendel, they need a little bit more work. But that's nothing that we didn't know already. We already knew that. We knew that all these guys are getting their first opportunities for starting reps in the NFL. So we understand there's going to be bumps and bruises that come along with that. And the best remedy for curing that is more reps, more playing time, and things like that. But we will see how the 49ers manage this. I don't expect Kyle Juszczyk. I don't expect George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. I just don't. But Kyle Shanahan could surprise us all. But I don't expect the big hitters to be out there, especially on the offensive side. So looking to see who's going to step up in those instances, I imagine we're going to see a lot of Danny Gray. Danny Gray had a great joint practice. You can tell that, again, the speed is on full display. My dabbing hyena says, barbecue that like button or your mildew. I love it. Love that Spencer Burford quote is catching on. 100% barbecue chicken. Ooh, barbecue chicken sounds kind of good right now. I'm hungry. I need to eat some food. I'm gonna go on a different tangent here. Hold on, really quickly. Straight squirrel, big time squirrel. Squirrel. Uh, my wife, shout out wifey. Happy birthday to the wife as well. It was just her birthday on Thursday. So happy birthday to wifey. I want to make sure I shout her out on here because she deserves it. Not only does she deserve a happy birthday shout out, but she wanted to go thrift shopping yesterday. I used to think thrift shopping was like the bane of my existence, like dragging me in to go thrift shopping. I'm like, what are we doing here, man? Why am I going thrifting? Like, what are we doing? Men or women who are listening that are trying to get their men to go thrifting. This is how you do it, especially if he's a football fan, a sports fan, anything like that. Show him and teach him that thrift stores have immaculate like relics that you will find. Like if you can get that flip to switch in their head that like, hey, we can go to a thrift store and you can find some dope 49er stuff. Let me show you the thing that my wife got me. It was her birthday. She was doing a little thrifting. She got me something. Let me show you what she got me. She found this Steve Young poster from his very last game at Candlestick. You even got a freaking ticket in there. That's a legitimate, real ticket. And she got me this sick ass freaking Steve Young last game at Candlestick, October 5th, 2008, 49ers versus New England, Candlestick Park. Like, this is sick. Like, I'm telling you, man, if your wife ever says, hey, I want to go thrifting, don't tell her that you want to go thrifting. You just like, oh, I'll do it for you. We'll make this work. I got you. Like, oh, you want to go thrifting? Okay, let's do that. I'll go with you. Deep down, you want to go thrifting too because you want to find some relics. But again, squirrel. But I loved it, and I want to shout out wifey as well. So that thing's dope. I got to figure out where to put it. I'm thinking maybe like right here. I don't know. That's going on the back wall though. It's freaking sick. Like half the stuff on my back wall is from thrift shops. Not half, but a good amount of it. Anyways, squirrel. Again, I know all of us. We love our 49er gear. So I've recently found a love for old school 49er gear. So it's been really cool. Matt Ramirez says, happy birthday to the wifey. Much love and many more. Let's go Niner fan. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for shouting out the wifey. Wifey is undefeated. Wifey's a warrior. You already know what we've been up against. She's been a warrior throughout this whole thing, man. So inspiring. Love her to death. And she gets me phenomenal 49er throwback stuff. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win everywhere. And wifey got me the Mitchell and Ness Rice jersey. Wifey's winning. Shout out wifey. But anyways, let's get back. Sorry. Big time squirrel. Big time squirrel. Let's talk about 49ers Vikings. Injury update. We could talk about that. Injury update. Trey Sermon, again, from joint practices, spotted hobbling off the field, looked and appeared to have an ankle injury. We don't know the severity or extent of if it's a sprain or whatever, but we did hear from Matt Barrows today that is reporting that Trey Sermon will test his ankle before tonight's game. But it does appear Trey Sermon will be good to go. So that is a good news because I think initially it came out as a bit of a like, oh no, like here we go again. With the injuries and things like that. But it does sound like Trey Sermon was able to avoid a severe injury. So that's good. We know Elijah Mitchell will not be playing tonight. So I would imagine we see but even if Trey Sermon can go, how much does he go? Especially if he's hurt. It's preseason. Like we're gonna push him. We're gonna push him through slightly injured preseason game, or do we take the opportunity to be like, all right, Trey, let's just put you on the shelf right now. You can go, but do you need to go? I don't know. I would imagine we see a lot of Ty Davis Price tonight. I imagine Ty Davis Price continues to stick out to me as a player who looks like he is really good at running the football. When it comes, again, I keep talking about his jump cuts. When he sees something, he has the ability to plant his foot in the ground and go east west very quickly, and then gear up and shoot through and explode through the gap. Um, Ty Davis Price is really good. I think Ty Davis Price is going to be a really good running back for the 49ers. For the foreseeable future. I really like the traits that he brings to the table. Not only that, he's a physical back. Saw him catch a pass or two at joint practices, so that's a good sign. I really like Ty Davis Price. I think TDP is going to be a guy that the 49ers are going to be able to rely on. I know Trey Sermon is in a bit of a battle. I've seen some of the comments. Some people are ready to just kind of wash their hands of Trey Sermon. I think Trey Sermon still has to prove that he can be a guy. I think, at least from what I've seen, I think at this point right now, TDP has better vision than Trey Sermon. I think that's where Trey Sermon is struggling the most. He just is struggling with his vision. I think from a measurable standpoint, an athletic traits standpoint, Trey Sermon's got it. But the thing that I keep seeing is Trey Sermon's ability to read blocks and kind of time his cuts and things like that. And you need to be able to do that in a zone scheme. And I see TDP already kind of being better at that. So we'll see how that plays out. And again, Jordan Mason is going to make this a very hard decision for the 49ers. Jordan Mason continues to be one of those guys. Again, I would feel extremely unconfident if the 49ers were to cut Jordan Mason thinking they could get him back on the practice squad. Absolutely just unconfident. Like if we get to roster cut down day, they're going to want Jordan Mason on the practice squad, like if they cut him. My thing is, I don't think he makes it. Like, I don't. I think again, we already know Seattle Seahawks. You had Josh Hockett sign. He was cut. He signed with Arizona Cardinals. Someone in division is going to grab Jordan Mason 100%. It's not even if ands or buts. Like, someone is going to grab Jordan Mason if he hits the open market. I don't want him to go to Seattle. I don't, especially considering the fact that I look at Jordan Mason and I see a Chris Carson type body, and knowing they have Kenneth Walker up there, but Kenneth Walker's undergoing a procedure, so they're going to be down Kenneth Walker, their top draft pick running back. So Chris Carson retired this year. Who's going to be their starting running back? Travis Homer. Seattle Seahawks need backs. I guarantee you, whoever gets cut from this roster is going to Seattle. Like we could play some bets. Who wants to take? What's the money line? Like what are we gonna place these bets on? Because whoever's getting cut is going to Seattle. I feel it in my bones. And I don't want that person to be Jordan Mason. I like JaMychal Hasty. I've always liked JaMychal Hasty, but I also believe JaMychal Hasty has a cap ceiling. Like, I think Hasty is capable. I think he can do it. I don't know if you can rely on him as a 3 down back, but I like Hasty and I like what he brings to the table. I like him in a third down back role, and he plays a lot of special teams. However, when you look at Hasty, I don't know if you're reeling with Hasty potentially not being there. Um, he's a little bit smaller, 5'8", 200 pounds, could translate into more injuries. And then you got a guy like Jordan Mason, who's 5'11", 225 pounds, and is very physical running back. So Jordan Mason continues to elevate for me. I see Jordan Mason as a developmental prospect. I don't think he's going to be perfect now. I think Jordan Mason is a guy that you're going to look at in a year, 2 years, and you're going to be like, that's a guy. Um, I think he can play special teams. I think he can have a role on special teams. That will be his best bet on making the roster. But we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that position. Jeff Wilson as well. I imagine Jeff Wilson plays tonight. I know Jeff Wilson is a veteran, but I do imagine Jeff is going to play because, again, they need to figure out who's going to stay and who's going to go. So we'll see what happens in that regard. Wide receiver standpoint, I expect a lot of Malik Turner. Again, still feels like Malik Turner is the main guy for that sixth wide receiver spot. But so I've said this before. I said this before the preseason week 1 game against Green Bay. I know you guys got to see it week 1 against Green Bay. If Austin Mack could catch the football, I would be talking about Austin Mack a whole lot more. Austin Mack is actually a really good athlete, 6'2", 215 pounds. He shows an ability to run routes. He shows an ability to create separation and get open. He just has a very difficult time holding on to the football. If Austin Mack could catch the ball, I think he could be the 6th wide receiver, but he's having a real hard time catching the ball. And this goes back to training camp. He did have a better joint practice. He made one of the better catches in one-on-ones that I had seen the 2 days in joint practices. So that was a promising sign. But if Austin Mack can catch, he can put himself in position to make. He can elevate. He can get to the highest point. It's bringing it down is where he struggles the most. If Austin Mack could actually grab the ball, we would be talking about him a whole lot more. But this was something that he dealt with in training camp. Consistent drops. You saw it against the Packers. I think he dropped 2 of them. So we'll see. But I think quietly they like Austin Mack, but we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see a lot of Austin Mack. We're gonna see a lot of Marcus Johnson. I imagine we'll see Ray McLeod. I imagine we'll see a little Ray McLeod. Ray McLeod continues to have good days. He had a bunch of really good catches in the joint practices. So I really like Ray McLeod. I think his spot is solidified. His role is solidified. If they don't play him, I would understand as well. I don't think they need to play Ray McLeod. But it could be an opportunity for Ray and Ray, kind of Juwan Jennings, and Danny Gray to kind of be your top 3 wide receivers today. So we'll see, though. We'll see if they trot him out there again. I don't expect Debo. I don't expect Ayuk, who both guys had up and down joint practices. Both of them had a couple drops here or there. But they also had some good plays. Again, I think one of the biggest takeaways from joint practices was there was a drop. There's something in the water where there's a couple drops going down. But it was a combination of things. Ball location translating to drops, things like that. So we'll see. but I imagine we'll see a lot of Austin Mack, Marcus Johnson, Juwan Jennings, Danny Gray, potentially Ray McLeod. I want to see Tate Martin. Malik Turner, I imagine we'll see. Willie Snead hasn't been moving the needle for me, so we'll see what happens with that. Greg Jennings is elite, 100%. Greg Jennings is elite. So let's switch over to the defensive side. I think you guys are going to see what we got to see in joint practices. You're going to see a whole lot of Ken Crawley. Do you guys know who Ken Crawley is? Do you know did you know Ken Crawley was even on the roster? Did you know that? I've come to realize that I don't think a lot of people understood that even Ken Crawley was on the roster at this point. But Ken Crawley, in the 2 days of joint practices, started both days. It was the guy on the other side that split. So Diamador Lenore started opposite of Ken Crawley day 1 of joint practices. Day 2, Ambry Thomas started opposite, and again, Samuel Womack in the slot. So we'll see who gets the start today. Feels like Diamador could get the start, but Ken Crawley sounds like he's going to get the start as well. So we'll see. Ken Crawley had an up and down camp. Granted, he was going up against Justin Jefferson, and they were running a lot of the off coverage with zone and stuff like that, and they were having a pretty easy time finding the soft spots in the zones. It felt like on Crawley's side, so we'll see how that continues to progress this game. I imagine we'll see a lot of Kadar Hallman, who didn't have a great joint practice either. I don't think we're going to see Dante Johnson. Not going to see Emmanuel Mosley. Not going to see Charvarius Ward. Not going to see Jimmy Ward. Maybe a little Talanoa Hufanga. I don't know. I feel like Talanoa Hufanga is pretty solidified, but if it's going to come down to a numbers game and they just need some bodies out there, maybe Talanoa plays a series or two. But I imagine a lot of Tarvarius Moore. And I'm really interested in looking at the young kid, Taylor Hawkins. We're going to see a lot of George Odom. That's for sure. I think George Odom had a pretty good joint practice. Came away with the interception, made a couple plays. He was very active in the run game as well. But I'm interested in seeing Taylor Hawkins. He's a guy that I have pegged as a practice squad guy that could be elevated for special teams. But I'm excited. I want to see Taylor Hawkins in extended snaps, see how he does. I think he has a lot of promise. Again, not a guy who maybe will have a huge impact this year, but he's a developmental guy. He's a guy that you could look down the line 2-3 years. That could be a guy that makes the roster. So we'll see how that continues to evolve. But again, another guy that we're going to be looking for as well is cornerback Quantrez Knight. Quantrez Knight had a pretty good joint practice. I think he is liked inside that locker room. So I think Quantrez Knight is a guy to keep an eye out for. Quantrez Knight could be challenging for a roster spot. We'll see. I like the upside that Quantrez Knight has. Again, he's not perfect. Undrafted free agent out of UCLA. Stands about 6 foot, 200 pounds. But I like what I've seen out of Quantrez Knight. So he's a guy to keep an eye on, especially tonight against the Vikings. With no starters out there. I imagine you're not going to see any starters. So a lot of backups today. And Quantrez Knight is the guy I'm going to be looking for. Ambry Thomas, Demo, they had an up and down joint practice. They've had an up and down camp in general. So today would be a good day for them to come out and prove what they can do on the field, especially with getting extended time out there. Tarvarius Moore also split starts. Tarvarius Moore started day 1. and then George Odom started day 2. If it was up to me, based on what I saw from joint practices, I would be starting Talanoa and George Odom. But we'll see what they put out there. Tarvarius Moore has a little bit more, longevity with the franchise, so maybe he goes out there first. We'll see. I see you guys asking some questions about Jimmy. Let's pick up the Jimmy discussion at the end. So we'll talk about the York comments on Jimmy G at the end of this. So almost done with our preview. And then we'll just open it up for general questions and all that type of stuff. Gammon says, "This is Jimmy Garoppolo's year. Legends never die." We'll find out, and we'll tie that into Jed York's comments that he made on Tim Kawakami's podcast. If you haven't heard them, we'll talk about it. But hey, we'll see. We'll see what's going down. We'll see what's going down. But let's see. Continuing to look at some of the guys that I think will get a lot of run today. We talked a lot about the DBs. I think the DBs is something that we want to watch. We want to watch the DBs. We want to see who's going to win. Is it going to be Ken Crawley? Is it going to be Diamador Lenore? Is it going to be Ambry Thomas? Is it going to be Quantrez Knight? Which one of those DBs is going to step up? Because let's face it, the 49ers have dealt with injuries to their secondary for a long time now. So these guys on the back end of the roster, although may seem insignificant, they need to step up. And these guys have an opportunity right now to prove who's better than the next guy. This is a competition. You might be boys with these guys, but this is the time to make a roster, especially with the injuries that have already occurred this year. Tariq Castro Fields, can he make a name for himself? Like, who's going to step up out of these young cornerbacks? We already know Samuel Womack has stepped up. He's proven enough throughout training camp, throughout joint practices, throughout the first preseason game. Samuel Womack has proven himself. We don't got to worry about that. He's going to have his bumps and bruises still as a rookie, but he's proven he's deserving of a roster spot. And it's proven he appears to be a gem. So these other guys need to step up, and we're got to see who's gonna battle it out. For the defensive line, it's going to be interesting if we see Javon Kinlaw. I wouldn't mind seeing Javon Kinlaw for a little bit, for the sense of get him more reps. They had a really slow ramp up period for Javon Kinlaw in training camp. Javon really started participating the last 2 days of training camp in team periods. So if they put Javon Kinlaw out there, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would like to see Kinlaw get more snaps. I really liked what I saw from Javon Kinlaw in joint practices. Again, he had that nasty pancake on their starting left guard. So I wouldn't mind seeing Javon Kinlaw. I think we're going to see a lot of Kamoko Toure. Kamoko Toure, to me, has already earned his roster spot. I'm not worried about Kamoko Toure in that sense. I think he's absolutely earned his roster spot. He is A+ pass rush specialist. So I like Kamoko Toure. I want him in the Chris Kosarek tool bag, where he can just pull these guys out and sling them at opposing offenses. So I already like Kamoko Toure. I expect he's going to play a lot, but I think Kamoko's already made the roster. A guy who had a good joint practices that I haven't talked about on the timeline, I haven't posted about, Hassan Ridgeway. Hassan Ridgeway was back at practice. It underreported. I don't think anyone talked about it. I don't think it came out from any beat reporters. Like, we talked about Eric Armstead returning. We talked about Emmanuel Mosley returning. No one talked about Hassan Ridgeway returning. Hassan Ridgeway made a couple plays. He is a guy that if they play him tonight, I'm looking forward to watching him. He did a really good job of, again, collapsing things from the interior. He would have had a sack or two. He would have had a couple tackles for losses. Hassan Ridgeway, the defensive lineman that they signed this offseason, he showed out. And so he's number 98. So keep an eye on number 98, Hassan Ridgeway. I imagine we're going to see a lot of him tonight. So keep an eye on him. He's a guy that I'll be looking out for. Another guy that I always love looking out for is Charles Omenihu. Charles Omenihu had a sack or two. Again, proved that he can play inside, outside. He can do a bunch of different things. I think we're going to see Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson, again, has proven that he can be a guy. Kerry Hyder has absolutely proven he can be a guy. Kevin Givens, stud on the interior. Samson Ebukam, stud. Nick Bosa. We already know what Nick Bosa is. I wouldn't play Nick Bosa. Put Nick Bosa in street clothes, put him on the bench, and let him watch because we already know what Nick Bosa did. Nick Bosa already made. He doesn't need to play the rest of preseason. Is really what it comes down to. After watching Nick Bosa in person absolutely obliterate the Vikings offense in joint practices, dude doesn't need to play till the regular season. Does not. We don't need to see Nick. We saw enough Nick. I luckily was able to see a Nick Bosa masterclass against the Vikings. He absolutely dominated. So I'm good, man. Like Nick Bosa, I don't want to see you in pads again. Also, I want to show you guys this. Someone posted this on Twitter and under one of my tweets, and I think it's fascinating. And I love it. And I want to show you why I love it. And I think you'll love it too. This is how Nick Bosa is signing his autographs in training camp. So I want you to pay really close attention to what it says right here. So you have your Nick Bosa signature, 97. But what does that say? That says 20 piece. Nick Bosa is literally manifesting 20 sacks, and he is signing it on people's jerseys in training camp. That's nuts to me. I love it. This is, again, if you guys know anything about manifesting and things like that, speaking things into existence, this guy is in training camp. The season has yet to begin. In training camp, he is signing people's jerseys and dropping 20 piece on it. What is the significance of 20 piece? He is calling out 20 sacks on the year. Nick Bosa is calling out 20 sacks on the year in training camp. That's fire. That is fire. And guess what? After what I saw in joint practices, 20 sacks is absolutely a range of outcome. Again, if you're a bet, I've said this all off season. If you are a betting person, you want to win some money, I think it's a pretty damn safe bet. I like this. Eric says, or maybe he just likes 20-piece chicken McNuggets. I don't think Nick Bosa has ever put a McDonald's chicken nugget into his body. If you've seen how Nick Bosa is built, I do not believe that dude has put a chicken nugget, a McNugget, into that body. But I do think it's dope that he's already manifesting 20 sacks on the year, and it feels like it's coming. So if you want to put money on the defensive player of the year, go put it on Nick Bosa. I think that would be a pretty damn safe bet because we already know, especially if you stack too, he had 15.5 sacks last year, and if you come back and you duplicate and you do better, the hype that's going to be generated from that will transition much better into him being able to be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. I agree with this too. Chris Royal says, I truly think he'll push for the record this year. I believe it. I just watched again, Christian Darrisaw. I really like him. I like Christian Darrisaw coming out of Virginia Tech. And I love, again, more validation for me and my ability to scout offensive linemen. When I was watching Christian Darrisaw coming out of Virginia Tech, my comp, it wasn't a straight comp, but when I look at his traits, I would always say Christian Darrisaw reminds me of Trent Williams. He reminds me of Trent Williams. Now, no one is Trent Williams. Trent Williams is a unicorn, but they have similar traits, right? Well, guess what? Guess what Trent Williams said after joint practices? He said, "Christian, I see a lot of me in Christian Darrisaw." So I'm just like, let me pop my scouting shirt real quick because I'm just good at this, man. Not to be cocky or anything like that, but I know how to evaluate offensive line. That's just what it comes down to. So Christian Darrisaw is a really good tackle. I really like Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw is a good tackle. Is the basic point that I'm trying to make, though. And guess what? Nick Bosa went through him like butter. So smash the over on Defensive Player of the Year for Nick Bosa. He's gonna go crazy. I don't think we see Eric Armstead. I don't think enough people talk about Alex Barrett. I think Alex Barrett has had a good camp. I don't know if Alex Barrett's going to make the roster, but Alex Barrett's like decent. He has some good moves on the interior. He's a really small defensive tackle, but he has good moves. I like what I've seen from Alex. He has an ability to win. I imagine we see Akeem Spence tonight, Jordan Willis, but again, no Eric Armstead, maybe minimal Ebukam, minimal Hyder, minimal Kinlaw. We'll see. I imagine we see a good amount of Teray, Omenihu, Jackson. Yeah, guys like that. From a linebacking standpoint, we're gonna see a whole lot of Oren Burks. We're gonna see a whole lot of Oren Burks. I really like Oren Burks. I think he's been a phenomenal addition to the 49ers roster. I think Oren Burks is going to be a guy that they're going to rely heavily on. And we already understand, Dre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shaair, they deal with injuries. You look at Azeez Al-Shaair, he looks like the Terminator. He's got those huge arm braces on both of his arms. I love the way Azeez and Dre play, but they both have dealt with a lot of injuries. So Oren Burks could be a guy that is heavily relied on this year. And if he needs to be relied on, I think the 49ers are going to be in good shape. But we're going to see if they keep 4 linebackers, if they keep 5, who's the 5th going to be? Is it going to be DFF? Is it going to be Marcelino McCrary-Ball, who had the interception against the Packers, who, again, he's a smaller linebacker, but he's one of these new hybrids. He's like a safety build, but he plays linebacker. Segun Alubi, is he going to be a guy that can stand out? Curtis Robinson, is he going to be a guy that stands out? So we'll see. But right now, Marcelino McCrary-Ball is leading all the undrafted free agents. And we'll see if they're going to push DFF for a roster spot. So we will see what is going on. Shout out Don Burr, chat legend. Good to see you in the building, my guy. Love to see it. So that we've talked about DBs, we talked about linebackers, we talked about defensive tackles, we talked about O-line, we talked about running backs, we talked about wide receivers, talked about quarterbacks. I haven't talked about tight ends yet. I don't think Kittle will play, but I do think that there is a pretty intense battle going on for who is going to be the 2 and 3 tight end. A lot of us assume it's going to be Warner and Dwelly, But when you look at Fumagalli, you look at Tanner Hudson. Well, I think Tanner Hudson has quietly had a decent camp. Tyler Croft, they're all kind of built the same. So it's like they all kind of look similar. Um, I think Tanner Hudson might be the most natural pass catcher out of all of them. Um, but we'll see who makes the squad. I would want to see Charlie Warner make it. Ross Dwelly again just has to show me that he can improve his blocking. If Ross Dwelly can improve his blocking, I got no problems with Dwelly sticking around. But it's pretty evident that Kyle needs blocking tight ends. And if they can catch, it's a plus positive after that, but he needs blocking tight ends out there. So we'll see who kind of steps away in that regard or who pulls away. But overall, those are kind of the guys that I'm looking for. No Brunskill today. Sounds like he's going to be hurt a little bit still. So we'll see. We will see. But going back, let's talk again. Now this is the opportunity. If you want to ask questions, comment on something, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'll try to look at it and pull it up if it's pertinent to our discussion. But I know you guys have asked earlier about Jimmy Garoppolo, Jed York's comments that he made. I look at Jed York's comments two ways. And if you didn't hear Jed York's comments, he went on the Tim Kawakami podcast and talked about Jimmy Garoppolo like he would love to have Jimmy Garoppolo back. Like if it came down to it and the 49ers wanted to bring back Jimmy Garoppolo or needed to, there's literally no issue there. So from the owner, right, of the San Francisco 49ers, owner, CEO, Jed York says, I would love to have Jimmy Garoppolo back. We love him here. We love having him here. We love him having him on the roster. So how do you interpret what he's saying? I interpret it multiple ways. The first one being when you're talking to the media and you're discussing a player who is clearly being discussed in potential trades or a roster movement, you have to generate a certain level of leverage when you're speaking to the media. So the leverage there is, well, everyone believes, and it's been reported this way, right, that Jimmy Garoppolo will be cut when the final roster gets to it. And Jed York talked about it. He's like, I'm not gonna talk about what Kyle or John need to do about constructing their roster. That's on them. That's their job. But if it's up to me and blessing Jimmy Garoppolo staying on the roster at the $25 million cap hit, Jed York says he'd be perfectly fine with it. Again, he echoed the Joe Montana, Steve Young situation, which I know a lot of people don't like hearing because it's not an apples to apples comparison. It's literally like comparing apples to tomatoes. It's just they're completely different categories. But the point that he's trying to make is that if we could have two Hall of Fame quarterbacks in one quarterback room, why can't we have Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo in one quarterback room? And from what I hear from Jed's perspective is more on the money side of things. They are willing, if it came down to it, to keep that contract on the roster. But how do I interpret that? I interpret that as, again, just a leverage play for, again, putting it out there that Jimmy Garoppolo is more than welcome to stay and at the price that he's at. To me, I hear that as, like, again, a leverage play. It's offering up the possibility of a return. It's not a clear cut. no matter any circumstance, Jimmy isn't returning. Again, he's leaving the door open for a Jimmy Garoppolo return. So I think in that regard, all he is doing is making it known that it's not a definitive outcome that he will be released. I think we all understand the most likely outcome is he will be released. But it's just the owner basically saying, "Hey, if these guys decide to keep Jimmy Garoppolo, then we'll keep Jimmy Garoppolo. I have no problems with it. I'll pay all the money to Jimmy Garoppolo to keep him." Well, how do other GMs, how do other owners hear that? It's basically they're playing chicken right now. If there's a team that is interested in Jimmy Garoppolo, whether it's potentially the Browns, the Seahawks. We got a Seahawks fan in here, I think. I think we got a Seahawks fan in here. We saw fans out there with signs in the Seahawks game saying they want Jimmy G. They want Jimmy G because they know Jimmy G is better than Drew Lock and Geno Smith. That's why they want Jimmy G. So we'll see. Now, I know the 49ers do not want to send Jimmy up north, especially for free. So they want to try to position it like we'll keep him, but they also want someone to come pry him away. They want someone to trade for Jimmy. I really don't think that the 49ers are going to keep Jimmy. I really don't think that is going to be the outcome. If I had to give it a percentage, and I'll ask you guys this as well, what percentage do you believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on the roster week 1? Drop it in the chat. I want to see what you guys say, and I'll tell you what I think. Drop what percentage you believe that Jimmy Garoppolo actually has a shot at being on the 49ers week 1. I want to see something. My percentage is 0.001. And the reason why it's 0.001 is because you never say never. You never, like, you don't ever in the NFL, like, literally, you never say never. Anything can happen. It's a crazy ass league. Anything can happen. But what I have seen, the way they've taken Jimmy and pushed him off to the side, Jimmy will ask for his release. He will not. The bridge is burned. So that's the way I look at it. It's like, okay, are they going to keep Jimmy? Jimmy's just going to ask him to release me. And then you're going to keep him and give him all that money. So I don't know, man. From, the people I've talked to and the things that I've heard, it just sounds like Kyle, who is the main person who's deciding this, does not want Jimmy. Like, so if Kyle, who is making all the decisions for your franchise from a roster standpoint, doesn't want Jimmy, I don't think they're going to keep him, because all Jimmy will be is a distraction. That's all he's going to be. And they're not bringing him to joint practices. He doesn't have a playbook. He's not a part of the team. He's on the team, but he's not a part of the team. Then to turn around and say, hey, we're going to keep you. And, just be the backup. No, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But again, I'm not going to say it's a 0% chance, but I will say it's a 0.001% chance. I just don't see it. I don't see, based on how this preseason, like, we're having a different conversation if they let Jimmy play and compete for the job. Completely different conversation. But we've seen the writings on the wall. Jimmy is literally shoved in the corner. not working out with the team, not a part of the team, not on the trip, doesn't go to joint practice, doesn't have a playbook. They're not keeping that guy. And if they did, Jimmy wouldn't want to be here. I think they're just literally waiting to see what's going to go down. Ultimately, I think it's going to come to a release, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Surprisingly, you have some people in the chat. Gav says 0%. Josh says 0%. Debbie says 50%, which is pretty high. 100%, 5%. Mariah says 0%. Roland says 10%, 10%, 30%. Julian says 100%, 0%, 1%. So you can kind of see we're kind of all over the place. We got a negative percentage. So I don't look at it in the sense of that, Jed York, to me, I just look at it as him keeping the door open to force teams to make the decision to call the bluff. You know what I mean? It's like a game of poker. Like, and the 49ers are holding the Jimmy Garoppolo card, and they have to like bluff to be like, oh, we'll keep him, to like literally try to force a team to come out of pocket to trade for him. We'll see. I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at this point. So we'll see. But you never say never in the NFL. But if I had to put money on it, I'd say Jimmy's not on the roster week 1. I say he's playing for someone else. I imagine it comes down to a release, and I would not be surprised if he signs with the Seahawks. I really do see that as an outcome. I see him being a Seahawk. Brad, are we going to see much Kerry Hyder tonight? I would imagine so. I imagine we'll see some Kerry Hyder. But Kerry Hyder has been really involved with the starting rotation, so we'll see. Could we trade Jimmy to Cleveland for Hunt? Maybe, but I don't know. The 49ers would have to want to pay Kareem Hunt. That's the double-edged sword. Is not only are you trading for Kareem Hunt, but you'd have to be trading for him to pay him. The 49ers have a pretty good thing right now with a extremely cost-effective running back room. So I don't know. It would be great to see a true number 1 running back who's proven it for some time in that offense. It would be really nice to see, but we'll see. Do I have season predictions? I don't like season predictions because there's so many variables and so many changing things from the start of a season to the end of the season. I still think this is a playoff caliber team. I still think they should make the playoffs. I think you can absolutely push for a division title this year. I think I have tempered expectations, but also with those tempered expectations, I still believe the 49ers are a playoff team, and I feel pretty confident about that. And a lot of that comes to the defense. I think the defense is absolutely just it's a top-notch defense. So that alone, you hear it all the time. Defense wins championships, right? Defense was a huge reason why the 49ers got into the playoffs last year. It wasn't because of the offense. It's because of the defense. Defense did a stellar job last year. Let's see. If he goes to the Hawks, it's a guaranteed 2 wins, is it not? I would say it's more than 2 wins. I would say they would be a like middle tier team with Jimmy starting. I think they would be like he'd be able to win anywhere from like 6 to 8 games. If they release Jimmy, do you see them going after O-line? They still got Brunskill in the hole. So, again, Brunskill might not be, a world beater on the offensive line, but he's done it consistently at a decent level for 2 years. So, you have that ace in the hole. Um, I kind of think, like, Brunskill probably got hurt because he warmed up, uh, before the game and then stood around and then came in for one play, and he got tight and tweaked and had a soft tissue injury. He played 1 snap, and it was the Ray McLeod touchdown. He played 1 snap, and then he got hurt. So, typically, when that happens, it's because you get cold. You standing around, you get thrown into action, shocks the muscles a little bit, but they still have Brunskill. You guys know I'm confident in Brunskill in getting the job done. So we'll see. No trade today. No trade today. Josh says we're only losing 3 this year. Ooh, I like this. Roy says Kellen Mond throwing for 2 interceptions against Quantrez and George Odom. Kellen Mond is not good. I said this pre-draft. Kellen Mond is not good. Like, he can throw a good ball, but that doesn't mean you're good. Kellen Mond is not good. Watch Kellen Mond absolutely just obliterate the 49ers. Kellen Mond's a third-string quarterback. He can't beat out Sean Mannion. Kellen Mond is not good. Absolute reach to take Kellen Mond in the 3rd round. I truly believed Kellen Mond was like a 7th-round prospect, and the only reason you take him in the 7th round is because he's a quarterback, and you just take a flyer on him. I do not like Kellen Mond. I do not think Kellen Mond is a good quarterback, and I was very adamant about that. Going back to what I was there at the Senior Bowl, I watched him throughout the week of practices. He had a good Senior Bowl game, but he is terrible in practices. I don't like Kellen Mond. Not at all. J Tan says, Brad, they're really trying really hard to get the trade. Hopefully somebody will buy it. Yeah, they are trying really hard. They don't want to be stuck at the altar holding the Jimmy Garoppolo bag at all. At all. Not at all. How much of Ray McLeod are we going to see? I would imagine we see a little bit. Again, Ray might be the number 1 out there with Juwan Jennings and Danny Gray. But I also don't think we see a whole lot of Ray. I think Ray has proven his worth. So maybe a series or 2. But that would be me. Who knows what Kyle's going to do. What's good, Jesus? He says, hey, Brad, will you be doing who will be MVP? Yes, I got to do that. Yes, we got to do that. I did it last year, and it was kind of gross. So I got to redeem myself. I'll do this. Yes, 100%. I'll do this. We'll do award predictions for sure. 100%. We'll do that after preseason week 3. How about that? But yes, I want to do that for sure. I got to redeem myself for last year. I got cute last year. I got some right, but I was also really cute. We need to get serious. Is Danny Gray going to be able to torch the? Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Let's see. Who's going to start at center? It's definitely going to be Brendel, I believe. Again, I imagine that the interior starters are going to start because I still think they need some work. But I do like Donovan West. Going back and watching Donovan West against the Packers, I thought Donovan West was better than Keaton Sutherland. I like what I saw out of Donovan West. Not going to lie. You guys already know I like Donovan West coming out. I liked what I saw from Donovan West against the Packers. I would I would play him above Sutherland, but I also believe deep down that they're gonna try to get Donovan West on the practice squad. Um, I feel like that's the ultimate goal is they're trying to get West onto the practice squad because they're only gonna keep 8 offensive linemen. I don't know if West is gonna be a top 8 guy. So, if they keep him buried, it might be easier to sneak him onto the practice squad. We'll find out. Uh, did Jed York really say he didn't say they're going to keep them. He said he would be okay with it. He didn't say they were going to keep him. He said they would be okay. He would be like as the owner. He said if that's what they decide, I would be okay with it. He didn't say that they were going to do that at all. Sergio says, I want to see if Jordan Mills can hold his own, might have a better pass pro. Ooh, I don't agree with this. But I do want to see Jordan Mills. I think, like I said, I talked about it at the beginning of the show. I would like to see the offensive line today be Colton McKivitz left tackle, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, and Jordan Mills at right tackle. I think we know what Justin School is. I think we understand what he is. And I want to see Jordan Mills. I want to see Jordan Mills get a little bit more reps. I think Jordan Mills has showed a lot of promise, especially with his starting experience in the NFL. Yeah, I don't. I would want to see Jordan Mills. However, I don't think Jordan Mills is better at pass blocking than Mike McGlinchey. Ooh, I think we're gonna get a lot. We were talking about it earlier, Justin. I hope that they just kind of put Trey Sermon on the side, or just give him limited reps, man. Just give him limited reps. That's it. Give me TDP. Give me Jordan Mason. I know what Jeff Wilson is. I know what Jermichael Hasty is. Give me TDP. Give me Jordan Mason. Prove to me what TDP and Jordan Mason are. Give them a lot of reps. That's what I want to see. Those are the two guys that I really want to see tonight. TDP, Jordan Mason. I know what Trey Sermon is right now. I know what Hasty is right now. I know what Jeff Wilson is. I want to continue to see it from TDP. And I want to see Jordan Mason get more run with the ones. Come on, man. You're not going to be able to sneak him on to the practice squad. You're not going to be able to sneak him onto the practice squad. I'm telling you right now, Kyle. I know what you're trying to do. It's not going to work. You're not going to be able to sneak Jordan Mason onto the practice squad. So give him an opportunity to prove to you why he needs to make this roster. Because you're not the second he hits the open market, we can literally wave goodbye to him on his way to Seattle. Like, do not cut this man. Give him the opportunity to prove to you why he needs to make the roster. Don't just bury him in the fourth quarter. Don't just bury him and run out the clock type situations. Nah. Let him show you. Let him show you. Because he's going to get picked up by someone else. You already know. You guys already know. Scouting report on quarterback Brock had a rough joint practice. Brock had a rough joint practices. He had a rough go at joint practices. Wasn't his best. He does kind of remind me of Jimmy a little bit. He reminds me of a Jimmy Garoppolo light. You want a scouting report? He's like Jimmy Garoppolo light, a smaller version of Jimmy. Doesn't have great arm strength. He is good, pretty decent. He can throw with anticipation. He can read defenses. He's pretty good at accuracy at times, or he's capable. But I don't know. We'll see. I like Brock as a practice squad guy for sure. Jordan Mason may have the explosiveness of Hasty and the strength of TDP. Good call. Great call. Comeback player of the year too. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. Who gets the most reps at tight end? I would imagine a lot of Tanner Hudson today. I want to see if Tanner Hudson can prove to me he deserves a spot. I want to see if Tanner Hudson can be that guy. We'll see if Charlie Warner gets any run. We'll see. Tyler Kroft is a guy that I think is firmly entrenched. We'll see if Fumagalli can be that guy. But Tanner Hudson, I like him as a receiver. I just want to, and he had a couple good blocks against the Packers too. So I want to see. I want to see if he can be that guy. Want to see if he can be that guy. Madden's not. There's no Shanahan in Madden. Common Madden L. No Shanahan in Madden. Hey, shout out Shanahan, man. I got to get real up and close with Kyle at these joint practices. He had a Vikings fan yelling at him. And he drove up and stopped, rolled his window down, and spent like 5 minutes like taking pictures and talking with like Vikings fans. Like, shout out Kyle, man. Man of the people. Man of the people. Let's see. Catching up to the chat. Just talked about Tanner Hudson. I like him. What the O-line needs. Residency hats. Yes. Hey, let's go. Appreciate it, Sandra. Sandra's loving the new intro. Love to see it. Let's see. I like this plan. Give Mason a lineman number. Try to get him. Call him a fullback. Transition him to a fullback. See what happens. Maybe no, but hey, Hockett got picked up. So again, if Josh Hockett's signing, it doesn't mean Josh Hockett's going to make it active, but he still got signed and it got an opportunity. Ooh, this is a good question. What jersey should I get for the season? Home, away, or salute to service? I don't know, man. I still want to get a black jersey. I still want to get the black. I love the black. I know a lot of people don't like the black, but I like the black jerseys, especially like for like fans. Like I like the black jersey. I think they look clean. I think they look clean, man. I would say though, you can't go wrong with a you know, I got the Trent Williams 94 red. The Just get one of the 94s, whether it's white or red. I think you can't go wrong with that black outline. Looks, and the new ones are going to have the new script font or saloon font on them. Can't go wrong with the 94 throwback jerseys, man. Those are sick. Let's see. I think I want to see George Odom, Talanoa Hufanga run out there with Ward being out. We'll see. Like I said, they split in training camp. First day it was Tarvarius. Second day it was Odom. I would like to see Odom out there first. They paid him a lot of money too. Ooh, goodness. Rams guard Logan Bruss tore his ACL and MCL. Yikes. Uh, that's you never want to see someone get hurt. Jason says Trent Williams had a baby blue residency. Was that custom? Yeah, it was custom. Trent Williams and residency. I'm not. I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, but they're working. I'll say that they're working. She says I need that red and white residency snapback to come back in stock. Absolutely. Well, you guys already know. If you want to get a residency, you know where to go. You know what to do. Got a little code for you. Punch it in, get a little discount. You already know the vibes. What's good, AM Echo? Let's see. All right. So the game, what time does the game start today? This is the game at 4. I think the game starts at 4. I think the game starts at 4 today. Yeah. 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 13 seconds until the kickoff of this game. So we'll see what goes down. We'll see what goes down. Again, I don't anticipate a lot of starters. Young starters, yes. Veterans, I don't. I wouldn't say they would. But you never know. Kyle has a mind of his own. But looking forward to it. We'll see what today's post game content looks like. I might be at the hospital with the baby boy, so I don't know. Well, I'll have to play it by ear. I might just have to do like a short recorded like reaction video. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go live or not. A little TBD at this time. Again, it's preseason, so I'm not holding my feet to the fire. Typically when we get into season, we'll be doing post game. We'll be doing post game lives every day after the game. But we'll see. Might be at the hospital, but hopefully. And hey, if you guys want to send good energy our way, we are hopefully looking at a week, less than a week to get the boy out of there, get him home. So the light is at the end of the tunnel, and we want to get him home. And once we get him home, it's going to make things a lot easier for everything. But so close. We are so close to getting him home. But he's doing well. He's doing great, and just want to get him out of there. It's been a long ride, man. Been an absolutely long ride. So again, like I said, today's post game content TBD at this point. Again, might be at the hospital. Probably be at the hospital. So we'll figure it out. But again, it's preseason, so I'm not going to beat myself up over it. And again, I don't think a whole lot of starters are going to play today. But, if we don't get to it tonight, you already know I'll be back tomorrow to at least do one live to recap and do all that good stuff. But in the meantime, shout out to all the SDS. Again, appreciate everyone's support. for all things, whether it's football related, whether it's all you guys in the chat sending good vibes. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate all the support on the channel. Appreciate the support from me. We have some big things cooking up. I don't want to announce them yet. But we're cooking up some pretty big things behind the scenes. Want to wait until it is solidified before we announce. But really looking forward to it. It feels like it's going to be a really good year of content for the Sourdough Squad. Feels like the SDS is going to level up this year. So looking forward to it. Yes. I keep talking about this. I got to do it. So keep an eye out. We're gonna drop some SDS merch. I promise you. We're gonna be dropping some SDS merch. I promise you. So let me just get the timing right, get all that stuff together. I want to make the drop good, and I want to give you a lot of options to pick from. So we'll be doing about that. Jason said, "Can we talk about how Brad got on the radio?" Shout out my homies Bonte and Shasky for having me on 95.7. That was a lot of fun. That really was. That was a lot of fun. Shout out the boys. Oh, we chopped it up for like 20 minutes. I did a 20-minute radio spot. Like, that was wild to me. Like, I don't know. I typically envision like radio spots being like maybe 5 to 7 minutes. But we did a 20-minute spot at 8:00 in the morning in the middle of drive time, traffic, peak hours. Like, that was pretty damn cool. So again, shout out the boys, Bonte and Shasky and everyone at 95.7. Getting to kind of meet a lot of cool people over there. So that was pretty cool, man. And it's cool. Just, a quick little tidbit. Personally, I've been listening to 95.7 since the first day that the station opened up. I was listening to 95.7. I listened to Haberman and Middlecoff, like, was it 10 to 12? Like, my favorite show was Haberman, Middlecoff, I listened to those guys. So it's just crazy, man. Damon has always been on the station. Chris Townsend back in the day. You guys remember Chris Townsend? EDE, I think, was on the radio. Was EDE on the radio? No, it was. I think I'm mixing it up. It was you had Papa and Lund at one point, Miss Papa and Lund. But yeah, it's been fun, man. It's pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. But we don't stop there. Like I said, we're cooking up some things behind the scenes. So be patient. I want to make sure everything's solidified first before we announce. But some fun stuff in the works. So shout out all the SDS again who are on the ride, on the journey, continuing to vibe. And I'm looking forward to a really fun year. It's going to be a really, really fun year of content. So can't wait. You already know the vibes. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And hit those noti bells. Appreciate you guys. I'm out of here today. I'll try to get back on later. But like I said, TBD. We'll figure it out. Appreciate you guys. You already know I'll be posting everywhere. Regardless today. So you see a post, like it up, share it up. Appreciate you. I'm out of here for now. Dabbing Aina says, Brad, gonna get hired by the 49ers to cover news and games for YouTube Watch. Let's manifest it. Hey, I like that manifestation. Get it up. We manifesting out here, just like Nick Bosa's manifesting 20 sacks. Love to see it. Shout out all the homies. I hope you guys have a great day. And appreciate all you guys, all the good vibes. You are the best. Appreciate y'all. We're out of here for now. You already know. Hit that like button on the way out. Appreciate you guys.